Hi guys, so the first thing I'm going to show you how to make today is called patatasbravas, which is a traditional Spanish dish that you may find when you're in Spain. It's kind of like home fries here with some garlic mayo and a little bit of hot sauce on it. So I wanted to show you how to do that today. So the ingredients. So for the fries, you need some potatoes. So Yukon Gold or yellow potatoes, generally those work pretty well. We've got some parsley that we're going to use for the garnish. We also have some paprika that we'll also use at the very end of it as well. And a little bit of salt and pepper that we will use as well for a little seasoning. To fry the potatoes, you can use olive oil or you can use peanut oil. I'm using peanut oil because partially for flavor, but it also handles well at high temperature. And then I'm going to show you guys how to make the aioli. So some of you folks may have heard that, the term aioli used in restaurants and stuff, and it's actually pretty basic. So basically, aioli means garlic. So I've got 2 cloves of garlic here. I've got 2 eggs here that are going to be where I'm going to separate out the egg whites and use only the egg yolks. Lemon juice, which I'm going to use a little bit of yuzu in the mix. Some mayo, and then a little bit of a twist for me, if you want to give your aioli a little bit of a zip, is good old sriracha. So I'll show you how to make that shortly. So the first thing we want to do is to peel the potatoes and cut them into these little cubes here, which we're then going to pop into the oil that we'll prepare in a quick sec. Next thing you want to do is to heat up the peanut oil so it gets to the point where there's enough in where when you put the potatoes in, it'll kind of all submerge in, so you don't have to do any flipping. So it's probably about 2 to 3 cups of the peanut oil, and you want to get it to about roughly medium heat. You're going to be frying the potatoes twice. So the first time that you do it, you're going to pop them in, and you're going to get them to the point where they are not quite golden, but fluffy enough so that you can, essentially kind of poke a fork through it very easily, so that it's very tender. When you're done doing the first fry, what you're going to do is to place the potatoes on top of kind of like an oil drainer. I don't know if you have one of these at home. I put this underneath a kind of a baking tray so that all of the excess oil goes off of it. If you don't, just use like a regular baking tray with a towel on it so that it soaks up some of the excess oil as well. Okay, so once the oil is hot enough, pop some of the potatoes in and let it cook for a bit, but remember not to get it to the golden brown state. We just want to get it to the point where the potato is tender enough so that you could put a fork right through the potato itself. Okay, so I just tried to poke my fork through the potato, and you can do it pretty easily. So scoop up the potatoes onto the tray, take it off the heat for a little bit. Just kind of let them rest here for a bit. Just like that. Just let them rest. Alright, so we're about a couple minutes in, and this flash fry is just about good to go. So you can see the color. It's actually looking pretty nice. So you don't want it overburnt. They are quite crisp as they are, so let's get them out and we'll put them right back on the tray to let it rest. So it's a beautiful color. Look at that. It's actually pretty good. I'm glad I didn't screw this up yet. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make the aioli. It's actually very, very simple, believe it or not. So as I mentioned before, you want to put some garlic. We're going to use a bowl, so we're going to stick the garlic in there. Okay. We've got the 2 eggs, so we're going to separate out the egg yolk from the egg white. So just do that very quickly. You can just kind of do this method of just hopping it back and forth between, the shell until all of the white, or almost all of the white, has been removed, and then we'll stick this into the bowl as well. Almost there, just that little piece here that needs to come out. Okay, that's good enough. A spoon of mayo into the mix. That's in. And then lastly, we're going to put a little touch of lemon juice. Just a little splash will do. So maybe if you just pour a little bit in the cap, just a little bit like that, and we're good. And so all you need to do is just whisk this. I don't have a hand, well, I have a hand blender, but because of the volume is not very heavy, it's not, it doesn't quite work well, so I'm just using it the old-fashioned way. Just to kind of... Okay, so once you get to this type of a consistency, like it's a little bit thicker, we're just going to add a little squeeze of the sriracha, just a little bit to give it a little zip. This is totally optional, but I found that this kind of gave it a little bit of a little kick, if you like it. And then just mix it all in. Alright, so we're now kind of at the final phase here, where we're just going to start plating. So I've already kind of pre-plated some of the potatoes, but basically all you're gonna do is put some of the aioli right in the middle, kind of like that. Put them right in the middle there. We're gonna take our parsley, which I have already finely chopped, that we're gonna put just kind of scatter around the bowl a little bit, make it look a little, make it look a little bit fancy, I guess. Just a little bit like that. Spread it out where you can. And then lastly, we're gonna put a little dash of paprika. So just a little dash to give it a little bit of color in little parts of the bowl. It also gives it a little bit of a smokiness to it. And that's really it. So you could put a little bit of salt and some pepper if you want to add a little bit of additional seasoning. Just a little splash. And a little bit of cracked pepper. There you go, patatasbravas.